Hey everybody, it's Patricia Daiker with Better Diabetes Life. Good to see you again. Um, I'm here today to bring you a message. I was going to write a blog, and for whatever reason, I felt like talking and not writing, so I'm going to bring you this in video. As a reminder, I'm a nurse coach. That means I'm a registered nurse with extra training in affecting change control for chronic illness, and I specifically focus on diabetes. And I focus on diabetes because I have type 1. And so I really want to bring you messages and ideas and things to help you with making changes. We all know what to do, right? That's the easy part. We all know we should eat right and exercise and do all these things, but actually doing them is a little bit more challenging. And so I dig into that aspect of living with diabetes. So in my recent online post, I've kind of been thinking about fall, right? It's a new season. And so that has really opened up this idea for me, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today. But when we think about seasons, we think about change, right? So it was summer and now we're moving into fall, things change. The end of the summer, the harvest, we're growing things, we're reaping things that we grew all summer. And, it's just this idea of these cycles of life, right? These seasons. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this as well. So I'm always kind of dabbling in the spiritual realm and teachings from other, religions and cultures and things like that. So I listened to this podcast, and it was about the yin and yang, or yin and yang. I've learned that both are acceptable, but this is the symbol, right? And so I used to think of this as something that talked about opposites, right? Dark and light, day and night, balance, that sort of thing. But this podcast I listened to described it differently, and it really kind of gave me something to chew on. So instead of this symbol being like opposites, it's more about evolution, like one thing leads to another. So what's that significant for? I think if we think about opposites, it's polarity, right? There's this way or that way, like politics, but I don't want to get into that, right? But they're opposite things, or two forces that oppose each other. Whereas what this symbol represents is one thing unfolding into another, right? So day turns into night, fall turns into winter, that turns into spring, into summer. And there's a sort of natural evolution, and there's purpose in each one. So the night, if it wasn't for night and our rest, we wouldn't have the energy for the daytime. The way that things grow, they need a break from the light. So there's balance and there's meaning in each one. And instead of it being a back and forth thing, it's more like a wave, right? And I think that's one of the things this image, there you go, is more of a wave, right? You kind of see that wave in there, and there's a little bit of the other inside of the last one. Pretty interesting. So I think these waves, right? I talk a lot about the how things in life happen in waves and cycles, up and down. So your heart rate goes up and down. Your blood pressure goes up and down. Our blood sugars go up and down. Everything in life happens. It kind of goes up, it breaks, it cascades, it comes down. If it's ever just flat, right, that's not good. That really is not, that's stagnation, which is not good. Yet we all want stability, right? So it's this weird conundrum of, I don't want anything to change, but yet everything's always changing. Crazy, right? So let's talk about that. So these waves, and there's so many analogies, but something grows and swells, almost like being pregnant. It gets bigger, it breaks, it crashes, it goes down. Those seasons of life, there's all sorts of things. It's when we try to stay with what was and we don't let go and move on into the next thing, right? Let's see, what else do I want to tell you? So when we think of this back and forth, we kind of go, okay, well, there's periods of abundance, there's periods of lack, there's periods of good control, there's periods of bad control. There's times in your life where it works, there's times in your life where it doesn't. I think I shared with everybody, I had poison ivy and ended up on steroids. Well, it never went back, right? I've had to adjust and adapt. So I was here pretty stable, took the steroids, my blood sugar went up, I did a lot of chasing, and I thought I would come back to where I started. I didn't, right? It's different than it was. So it kind of leads to this idea of this forward motion, and it's about our expectations, right? And so when we think about things, if we expect flat, if we expect everything to be stable, if we expect nobody to change, if we expect everything to be just as it was, A, we'd be bored, and two, we're always wrong, right? So it's just a mindset thing. So I wrote an ebook recently, and I think it kind of ties into this a little bit because it's about myth and truth. And I think when we hear about myths, right, things that are lore out there that people say, oh, this is the way it is, there's some little nugget of truth in there, but there's some big part of things that are, marketing, somebody else's idea, persuasion, whatever it may be. But there's this truth. And so the book that I did, I have 5 kind of common myths that I've heard and seen and found and work with clients on about what it's like to live with diabetes. And in the book, I debunk those myths. We kind of go through of here's what they say, and here's what the truth is. Here's a little preview. This is just a printed page. So the 5 big myths of diabetes busted. So again, myth and truth. It's a downloadable, printable book. And if you're watching this video, I'm going to put a link below. If you're part of my community, you're going to get this either the end of this week or the beginning of next. We're still working through some of that stuff. But you'll be one of the first to get it, and it'll be out kind of more available in the coming weeks. But it's a cool little book. It really, again, it's all about perspective, getting things right in here. So then when we're living our life and doing the things we need to do, you have some good information to draw from. So I think that will be a wrap. Just happy fall, y'all. Enjoy the season. We let go of summer and we move into fall. And sometimes there are seasons in our lives where we let go of something and we move into whatever the next thing is. And it's okay to not go backwards. I think that's probably the biggest thing I want to share is it is okay to move on because that's what life's supposed to do. That's how it happens. We get older, we move forward, we learn. I've got 2 crazy teens right now. I wouldn't go back to that for anything. But I just hope that you're all well. I hope this message was helpful to you. And if you are struggling, if you can't figure some of this out, literally that's what I do. That's what I help people with. Coaching is really not me telling you what to do. It's me helping you figure out what it looks like in your life when you get stuck, and we all get stuck. So again, lots of ways to sign up, work with me on my website. At the easiest, just send me a message and we can go from there. So I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful fall season, enjoying this cooler weather. Be well and go have a better diabetes life. Thanks.